Welcome to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. Today, I'm just going to be talking a little bit about what my channel is all about. So, I started getting into firearms a couple years ago. I've always been interested in them ever since I was a kid, but growing up, my dad had guns when he was a kid. My mom was pretty against them, so I never even had BB guns growing up. Needless to say, when I got my license, I started buying, doing a lot of research and buying several guns that I wanted since I was a kid. So what I want this channel to be about is things like, should I be afraid buying a used handgun, or should I be afraid buying a used rifle? What do you consider to be a good price? Or if I'm buying new versus buying used, how much savings on a used gun should I even consider to buy used over new? Now, to me, when looking at something like this is a model 637 Smith & Wesson, and it is unloaded. You can see this is a model 637. I bought this used. I think I paid $300 for it. So that's probably about between $79 and $100 under MSRP. And again, MSRP isn't really what the shops are going to charge you. They'll charge you anywhere from $400 to $425 or maybe even $450 for this particular handgun. I like it because it's a snubby and it has the hammer on it, so you can shoot it single or double action. This one came with an Uncle Mike's boot grip, and I put this kind of cheap plastic ivory one with this Tyler T grip on it more because I like the way it looks, and I still want it to have the extra grip on there so when I'm shooting it, it's not walking around in my hand. I carry it in a BIanchi holster. I like this a lot. Sits really low, and I mean, the leather that they use is high quality. They smell really good, which I know it's weird to smell leather, but they smell really good, and around 50 bucks. It's a little pricey for the holster, but when you save $100 to $120 on this gun, to me it's worth it to buy a quality holster. And you should always buy a quality holster. You don't want the gun flopping around in your pants. You don't want it falling out when you're running. But anyway, going back to the task at hand, buying used versus buying new, I have no problem buying used. That being said, I'm also a person that doesn't mind working on things. I like tinkering on stuff. So as I move over here, this is my 36-1 heavy barrel 38 special, Chiefs special. This is a square butt 38 special. This is actually the first revolver I bought, and this is a double action or single action as well. This one is a little bit different. It has the hammer has the firing pin on the hammer. The other one, the hammer is actually internal in the gun. So you notice it doesn't have the little spike on the hammer. So the firing pin is not on the hammer on this one. However, this one is. Now, one thing I had learned about these, especially something that, this is a 1983 model. The guy that I bought it off of had it stored for many years. He hadn't fired it in probably 5 or 6 years, and he actually worked in the gun shop that I bought it from. He traded it in for something else, and so it'd been sitting for quite a number of years. It's in very good shape. It has a couple of minor scratches on the barrel, and the finish at the very tip of the barrel is a little bit worn out, but for the most part, it's in very good shape. This came with Harritt's Target grips on it when I got it, and I didn't like them, so I went and bought the actual factory ones from Smith & Wesson. These are laminated rosewood, I believe. But I like the classic look of the gun. And this is a leather holster that I think I bought from Holster World on eBay. Not quite as good quality as the BIanchi, but it serves pretty well, and it's very comfortable, and it retains the gun very well. So, again, this one was a used gun. This model, if you were going to buy it new today, they have a classic series. I think these cost around $750 brand new if you were to go to Smith & Wesson and try to buy this today. I bought this one for $475. And it's a lot of money. However, for what you're paying for, you don't get this quality in most of the cheaper end revolvers that you get today. Some of them are, fairly decent quality. Taurus and some of the other brands that are actually pretty good. Charter Arms are somewhere in the middle. I've heard mixed reviews about them. That being said, I wouldn't mind getting a Charter Arms undercover snubby, so that I have a blued one to match this one in 1 7/8" barrel like this one. However, for now, these are the two revolvers I have. But again, both of these I purchased used. The 637, I had zero issues with it. I took it out of the box, I cleaned it one time, put some ammo in it. I've shot hollow points, which these are Winchester Defend ammo. I've shot semi-wad cutter lead rounds in it that were reloads, and I've shot plenty of round nose jacketed regular ammo, and it's functioned flawlessly. Great gun, fun to shoot, and believe it or not, the sights on this thing, it has a really tall front sight. The sights on this thing are actually easier to see and easier to shoot with than this Chief Special. It has the same type of front ramp sight, and the rear sight is effectively what you're going to get if you look down the back of the gun. However, for me, the 637 is easier to get a good sight picture around 20 yards, 7 to 10 yards with this one than it is with this one. However, I haven't fired either one of them considerably either. But the problem I had with this one when I got it, because it was used and it sat for so long, the springs and some of the mechanisms inside were actually gummed up from having old oil or old grease in there. And the first, 50 rounds I shot, I probably had 4 or 5 light strikes that didn't go off. I thought it was due to the ammo. But after I took the thing home, I cleaned it really well, I oiled it, I worked the action probably 30 or 40 times. Next time I went out to the range, I shot it, I had 0 issues even with the same ammo. So the inside of this gun was kind of gummed up. Another example about buying used, I picked up a Ruger LC9S. And again, it was a great deal being used. They retail for anywhere from like $300 to $350 new. I picked one up for $250 used from a local gun store, and I was very happy with it. Took it out to the range the first time, put some ammo in it, and pulled the trigger. Fired, but then it didn't pick up the next round. I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. Looking over the gun, and the magazine had actually dropped out. Like, just enough that it wouldn't engage and it wouldn't pick up another round and fire. So I tapped the magazine back in, racked the slide, and it fired again. This time when it fired, again, I pulled the trigger a third time and it wouldn't fire. What had happened was the safety had dropped and engaged onto the back of the slide, not allowing the slide to function so that I couldn't shoot again. Now, again, me being the person that likes to tinker on this, I wasn't about to give up on that gun because I got a good deal for it and I wanted to make it work. So I did some looking online and I figured out how to take the frame off and take the guts of the gun out. Took it all apart and found out that either somebody had bent the magazine release spring to soften it so that it would be easier to drop the magazine, or it was just weak from the factory. And the same thing with the spring for the safety. It was just the fact that the 2 springs were too weak. So I opened them up a little bit with a pair of needle nose pliers, and lo and behold, the thing started to work fine. And I put thousands of rounds through that gun. And after that, I had bought extra magazines, extra holsters, and things like that. I ended up selling it to a friend of mine, and now he's enjoying it. So, like I said, don't be afraid to buy used over new. To me, when you're talking about how much money you're going to save over a gun, so take for instance this 637. If I had picked this thing up and I had only saved $20 or $25 over a new one, I probably would have just gone ahead and bought a new one. I saved probably $75 or $100 buying this one used. It had barely been fired. You couldn't even really see the wear marks on the cylinder when I bought it. It probably had 10 or 20 rounds through it, and I saved about $100. To me, saving $100 on this is great because now I have enough money to go buy a box of ammo, a really nice holster that cost about $50, and some grips and stuff like that, still for less than the price of the gun if I had bought it new. Now, some people might say, well, $50 or $100, I just want the feeling of knowing that I bought something new. Well, that's well and good. Some of my firearms I did buy new, but I'm just telling you, don't be afraid to buy used firearms. So, again, back to the purpose of my channel. Yes, what I like to do is average guy gun reviews, what you can expect when you go to the gun store when you want to buy something, what I personally like to carry for different types of holsters for different firearms. I want to do reviews on ammo. I have shot tons and tons and tons of different kinds of ammo, especially 22 long rifle. And I'm going to tell you one thing. When you're going to buy ammo, when you're stocking up on ammo, like every time I go to Cabela's or every time I go to Walmart, if I see something I want, I buy a box or I buy 2 boxes. That way you're not dumping a lot of money at one time. And then when you want to go to the range, you don't have to go to the store and buy more ammo. You can just take what you have out of your stock and replenish it later. But in doing that, I've been able to buy many different kinds of, say, 22 long rifle. I've shot Remington Thunderbolt. I've shot Yellow Jackets. I've shot CCI Stingers. I've shot Velocitors. I've shot all different kinds of 22 LR ammo. And I like to function every single kind of ammo I have through my rifles. If you haven't seen that already in my channel, you'll get to know that. I like trying different kinds of ammo. The other thing about that, I don't really buy expensive ammo. Take, for instance, my Mosin Nagant. I have 2 Mosin Nagants. I bought tons of Milsurp ammo for those, and it is a pain in the butt to clean it after you use Milsurp ammo, because you either have to use a special type of cleaner or you just use soap and water. Then you really got to dry the gun before you go back and put the oil on it so that it doesn't rust. But that being said, you can buy Milsurp ammo, or at least you could 2 years ago, really cheap. Then Cabela's had this stuff called MFS brand on sale, and I bought tons of that stuff for like $5.99 a box. So I have a whole bunch of Mosin Nagant ammo. Things like that. I'm not afraid to buy cheap ammo. The only thing I really don't do, I don't shoot steel-cased ammo in my AR-15, and I don't shoot steel-cased ammo in my pistols if I can help it. I recently accidentally bought a box of Winchester forged 9mm steel-cased ammo. While it functioned flawlessly, it made a mess inside of my gun. So I won't be buying that stuff again. But again, Cranky Reviews, just an everyday guy talking about things that are interesting to me, that I hope help you guys out. Again, in this video, we have a Smith & Wesson Model 36-1 Chief Special Square Buttstock J-frame, 1983. And then we have a Model 637, again, 38 Special Revolver. This one's only a couple years old, but both of these I bought used. I love both of them. This one I usually carry with me just because it fits with just about everything I wear. I do have a Bodyguard 380 that I recently picked up that I'll be carrying as well. So I switch off between a few different guns, and I'll talk about that as well. But thanks for watching Cranky Gun Reviews.